Hey guys, welcome to this episode. My name is Drew, and I've been living in Johor Bahru for about 8 years now. I come from Indonesia, and I know about the historical data and research about property in Singapore and Indonesia and Johor Bahru, and comparing between these three, what is exactly going on in Johor Bahru property. And today I want to talk about the oversupply. This is a very controversial topic that a lot of people has been talking about. And is it real that property in Johor Bahru already oversupply? There are many projects going on. There are many new development going on. There are many subsale houses here and there, rental here and there. And it's almost impossible, basically, for newbie that want to start investing to penetrate the market and start profiting. Is that true? Is that real? We're going to talk about that topic today. And I want you to be aware that this is something that I want you to come to the conclusion yourself. Disclaimer that this is something you need to do research on. You need to have your own strategy. This is the conclusion that I want to give you, that don't just take something literally. Don't just get into believing someone that tell you about rumor or from the news and then you take it blindly. That will give you a very big shock at the end, what you should do with that. So in this video, I want to talk about how that you can really know the fact and the numbers. I want to give you the actual truth, and this is something that has been going on for a while, but I want to break it down for you in very clear situation, what's really going on. All right. So there are more than 30,000 new residential units that are expected to be completed in the next 3 to 5 years. This is truth, this data. And can you see 30,000 more than 30,000 units that's going to be completed? Do you really believe that the demand for people that buying new projects, new units, housing nearby the RTS, nearby the Johor Bahru city town area is going to be more than 30,000? Is that true? That is a speculation that we want to see, right? We never know until we know what's going on in the next 5 years. But here's the caveat to this is that you can already see there's so many condos, there's so many apartments that's empty that people buy that not able to get a rent. That means something that has been going on there. Why they didn't rent it? Why they didn't get the right, let's say the right agent to rent that, or even their agent cannot get any rental from that property. Those are two different things, but you need to know, is that real? Is that the real case scenario that's happening, right? So I want you to answer that. Is that the demand is going to be 30,000 in that area? That's something you need to think about. And many are concentrated in Bukit Cagar, which is the RTS, RNF, Tenggabay, Tebrau Medini, which is the town area of Johor Bahru, right? And the common concern is if everyone's building, who is going to rent or buy these units, right? But the reality, not all supplies competes with each other. And this is the big bold letter. Competition is only that's only achieved in between the same type of property. So let me break it down to you. If you're comparing apple to oranges, then it's not going to be a fair comparables, right? But at the same time, if you comparing, let's say, landed house and apartment, that's not going to be a good comparison. But if you're comparing, let's say, service apartment in the same area, now you need to look at what is the target audience, what is the market segments. Is that Airbnb, short-term rent? Is that more commuters, local investors, or industrial workforce? Because there's SEZ coming up, right? So those are the consideration that you need to see if that's even potential in that area, right? So number one, what is the advantage of if you getting a property now in JB, property nearby the RTS, right? Let me show up to you for this one. RTS that's going to be end in 2026, that will connect JB and Woodlands in 5 minutes. The huge draw for Singapore and workers and expats, right? So this is going to be a big momentum where every developers they're racing to get it done or starting to sell as many as possible before the RTS completion, because the price is in the peak momentum right now, right? And the price gap between JB and Singapore property is still massive, about 5 to 10 times different. And developers are still offering early bird rebates, free MOT, right? State consent absorption, making the entry cost low, and also the currency play, which is strong SGD versus MYR, and early investors can take the advantage right now, because when there's the political momentum going on, it's going to change the pricing of the stock market and or exchange, right? So rental demand is projected rising as cross-border living becomes practical again. Once it's completed, there's more demand coming in for sure. So that's the first reason, the first section of what advantage if you getting the properties needed by RTS right now. Now, what is the disadvantage, right? Instead of just talking about the good advantage, what is the disadvantage of this truth? Now, oversupply, because 30,000 plus in the 5 years, do you think that's reasonable numbers for you? Oversupply pressure, potential risk is there because the mid-tier condos that generic designs, tough competition, they're not super premium, they're not super cheap, right? And it has given a low rental yield. There's one project, if you know, comment below if you want to know, that has been lower in rental yield and lower in ROI when they want to sell it back. And has been going on in the phase 3 right now. I will not mention the name, but you should know what the project is. But if you don't know, you can comment below and we can chat about it. And this is something that many buyers purchase based on hype, not demand mapping, and ending up with slow moving units. Sometimes they even need to sell it below the market price because of the demand is not that strong anymore and the supply is like crazy, right? So certain zones like Danga Bay, Permas, Tebra already high vacancy with no unique proposition. Short-term, buyers may experience price stagnation until RTS operations fully begin. And some developers still overpromise on returns. I mean, you might know some of them, or if you don't know, again, comment below and I'll reach out to chat and then we can see what's the next step from there. I'll show you what exactly the data look like. And there are many of them that under-deliver on management and tenant quality. Management in strata is so much important because it's going to give the impression of the buyer what is going on with that rental, with that place that's been holding on, right? There's so many buyers that cancel to buy because of the management. So you need to know and make sure the management is also in the good hands, right? But here's the caveats, right? This is the another truth that has been playing right now. And not all JB properties are created equal because you also need to see the location and strategy to decide whether to profit or get stuck. So many people and so many Singaporeans, you have HDB, right? But you still want to make that HDB as a rental and you buy some properties in Malaysia with different strategy that you know that you want to get some yield from there, right? But here's the thing. There are many of them also that suffering because it didn't give yield. It didn't give any return. So you need to make sure what is the unique positioning, what is the location and strategy is the right one. Because if not, it's going to be just another liability that you need to take care. At the end of the day, you want to sell it back and it's very hard to sell back. It's below market price and it's just a suffering, another suffering in the story, right? So you need to make sure the strategy is correct. And you need to know whether it's, let's say, short-term Airbnb ready layouts or is it long-term exit strategy that is going to be smart move for you. Invest in that area at the right time, right? So what you should do, this is the thing that actually, so many people actually are still unsure about this, but I will show it to you. You're just not following the headlines. You're just not following the news 100%, literally take the bite of it, but you need to know which market that you're serving. Is that a commuter? Is that a family? Is that an investor? Because you cannot just tell me like, okay, I just want to get anyone that wants to rent. That doesn't make sense. You need to know what and which market that you're serving exactly, so you know what kind of strategy that you need to do to rent out the place to get the right return. If you're just like, okay, I just buy and hoping it's just getting up in the next couple of years, it will not work because you don't have exact strategy that you need to put into play. So you need to have that clear strategy and you need to focus on developer track record if you want to get the new housing development, that you need to know the management and the real end user, not just launch gimmicks. And don't fear oversupply. At the end of the day, fear buying without a plan, without a strategy, without knowing what you should expect. That's going to be very hard, right? Because oversupply is always happening everywhere. And there's some new development, new malls, new township. There's always some oversupplies going on. But what is the exact strategy that you need to come in the right time? That is much more important for you. So if you haven't get the data, DM me, put a comment below, and let's connect so I can show you what the strategy personally that you can implement depending on your situation. So comment below right now and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you soon to chat more.